joining me at this hour. Welcome to 586 edition of InvestData Trading Academy live with Ambrose. Yes, I'll tell you that the midweek is opening on a positive note across the globe, including Nigeria NGX as we speak. Good news that we're seeing that in the matured market, we're seeing the first most of the central banks of this economy, opening on a positive note. Most of them are leaving their rate unchanged. Some are cutting their rate. But the good thing is that, the new sentiment of buying interest in tech companies, AI-related companies have put all the market in green across the globe. Good news, and also we are seeing positive earnings in this matured market. Also, that prices are feeding on those numbers in expectation of good reward, and also that the economic globally, despite the uncertainties around around the world today or the global economy, but we are seeing that companies in most economy are doing well as reflected in the numbers they are posting recently. For me, it's a good news. That also shows that the global economy is also recovering. But let's leave this way that for the first MPC meeting or the first policy meeting, I would say that it's a good one for Africa. We're seeing most of the Africa macroeconomic data, especially in terms of inflation, expressing the disinflation, looking southward, is a good one. But I'll tell you today that central banks of the world are moving towards the easing already in terms of their monetary policy to strengthen the global economic recovery in the face of uncertainties surrounding trade tariff, geopolitical tension, even as also we're seeing AI revolution. All these are what is also driving the mixed sentiment and also the recovery we're seeing in global economy. For me, if a central bank of this world, after they've hiked rate in previous year, this year they are trying to use great God to normalize the economy and strengthen recovery. For me, it's a good one. But I'll tell you that investors in this market should also pay attention to what is the sentiment in this market. That's why you cannot rule away trend and sentiment in any market. Different price level has to be determined by the world, different macroeconomic data and different perception and different level of liquidity. Like I always tell you that anywhere in the world, the greatest market fundamental is liquidity. And if we are seeing rate cut in most of this market, that means we're likely to see fund moving from one investment window or the other, what we call a circular flow of fund in any economy. That will continue to happen. But before I go into looking at what is happening in Asia, I will tell you that yes, as we speak now, at the close of policy meeting, we saw that Thailand and Nigeria had their first policy meeting in 2026, and these two countries cut their rate to support their economic recovery in respective countries or nations. And I'll tell you that for me, it's a good news. We saw that in Nigeria, we saw no interest rate dropping or MPR dropping to around 26.1.5. That means about 50 basis points was cut from the 27 interest rate was paying before. But in Thailand, I think they also they reduced their rate to 1% also to boost their economic recovery. For me, it's a good one. Also, we're going to discuss when we come to Asia, what is happening in Europe. We saw also that the positive German economic recovery, which was also as reflected in their Q4 0.3 GDP growth. For me, it's also a good one for the market across the globe. And these are the things, also we are seeing oil price trying to stabilize also, even above 70. And not forget also that we saw that most of the investment, other investment items like silver, like gold, and Bitcoin as we speak now, have lost about 50% of its peak. That means 50% of what I thought previously last year and what is said today. That means you can see how volatile that kind of investment is. So that you have to look at where can you enter and see that little stability comes. And also those are trading currency, we are seeing current price up and down. But I believe that for those that are in this class and also that follow subsequently, we need to look at what is happening in terms of where is liquidity flowing to. And when we are experiencing either rate on change or rate cut, it's a sign of what that is easing is what next thing we're seeing till 2026. It might be slow, it might be just little by little, but I'll tell you that the speed or the to go to hiking this year will be towards the end of the year if there's anything happen. But I believe as we're seeing now, most of the central banks of this world or central banks of different economy we have seen starting the year on either on hold on cut. None of them have seen that high rate as we speak. Even in Japan, where we are seeing drift or change. These are the things that we need to keep our eyes on. Yes, let's come back to what is happening in Asia. Asia is where we're starting to start today. Don't forget that Asia has experienced a longer holiday, but now market is fully up in that zone on that continent. As we speak now, say that most of the Asia stock or market has advanced at this midday. No, we're seeing that in Japan and South Korea, we're seeing stock rallying to its peak, recording high on the strength of what technology stocks that are on high demand. Australia is not left behind. Their market also hitting all-time high also, in this regard, on a strong earnings from the big weight the big weight the big weight or any particular heavyweight where what that help the market, sorry, woodworks have helped the market to see in this kind of better than expected numbers. Also the inflation is expected also for the month of for the month of January also look nice, but was it's hotter than expected. But let's see how it's going to play out also. But also we're looking at in Chinese also has extended, or Chinese stock level has extended their own gain after returning from the lunar New Year holiday on a strong word footing on Thursday. Oh, sorry, on Tuesday during the week. That was yesterday. I can tell you that as we speak now, Hong Kong is also benefited from the recovery in tech company. We are seeing most of the market in that region in green. For me, it's a good one. Regional market, like I said earlier, are positive. Clue from what is happening also in Wall Street here, overnight section. As investors also question just how big and how long this impact will go in terms of AI. That means the artificial intelligence related, companies with their software sector, what is happening, and that have boosted the S&P. Also, I said S&P is almost up again at this hour, but we'll come to US market to look at what is happening there. But also, Upside has focused on what squarely on upcoming earnings from these big tech companies, especially bellwether of Nvidia. These are the things. But also, don't forget that Trump also up and down with his tariff. Also, I believe that state of the union also addressed, provided few direct clue forward for the regions as we speak now. Although trade tariff and also remain on a point of uncertainties, and that's also because of Trump claim that he will also proceed with his tariff agenda, without the congressional approval, even after the Supreme Court struck down a bulk of his tariff regime. These are the things that's happening. But in Japan, like I said earlier, Japan and South Korea are up this morning, and as a result of what increase interest in what tech companies are ahead of what Nvidia number. This house, as to speak now, I'll tell you that Japan index, Nikkei 225 is up by 2%, hitting 58,319 points. With South Korea also in that direction, over 2% rally as of at this hour, hitting 6,122.98. These are the things. Both indices are also benefiting from what the strength in tech. You can see that these are the things also put in any market. It's always the sector that will support the market. That's part of the profit taking. That sector, whenever they come down, market go down. When they rebound, you can see also then rebound. It's a good one for me that investors should know all this so that it's a cost. Right? When you are taking decision, always factor them to your decision. Australia hitting also recording high despite the hot inflation figure that was printed, that was released. These are the things that is happening in Asia as we speak now. We'll quickly look at what is happening in Europe as we speak now. So let me not forget that India is not left behind in that zone. India market is also up by 0.3 at this hour. With local software names recovering from the losses they have recorded in previous weeks, and Singapore is also down as we speak. That is the link that is down at 0.1 as we speak. But let's quickly look at what is happening in Europe because of our time. Look at Europe now. Tell that Europe is a place there, and Eurozone market or European market. It's not just we're just seeing for the first time. We're seeing a trend in that market. There even we saw little pullback in of profit taking, but we're seeing consistency for almost 2 weeks. In terms of market rally in that zone. And as we speak now, we're seeing that most of the market in that zone are in green this hour ahead of one of the biggest banks, this HSBC. Also earnings that is also likely to hit the market. And I will tell you that earnings in that region has really boosted confidence, and that confidence continue. And this will boost out also renew global world confidence as investor assess majority of the quarter results and full year earnings for this company in that region that are beating expectation. I told you earlier that we saw also Germany being one of the biggest economy in that we saw the economy also recovering. Is a point that as we speak, like I tell you that you can't separate the market from the economy. When we see that what is our seeing today in Nigeria is also a reflection of what is happening in that region. When the economy is improving, recovering, the market also, that's why market is a good indicator. You see also the GDP also reflecting the sector that's also supporting the economy is always good. Yeah, as we speak now, in Europe, I see that DAS index in Germany is up by 0.1, and that of CAC 40 in France also up by 0.2, and that of UK can see UK market has been so bullish recently with also improving economic data. We see that the FTSE 100 in UK, is up by 0.5. For me, it's a good one. We are seeing a risk appetite on the rise, on the rise in that region. For me, we are seeing a rise in global, sentiment for most European stock, and this boosting the sentiment in that zone. And despite the uncertainty surrounding Trump and the new global trade tariff, settle down, all these are the main indicator here. If you look at them, we are seeing higher market also, or higher activities on Tuesday in US market, Wall Street. That also extended, and that of Japan, South Korea, Australia, all these are also hitting a new high in Asia overnight. Also extended. For me, it's a good one for the global market. Trump indicates that yes, he will proceed with his tariff agenda during the State of the Union address over one night. But I believe that even when Supreme Court have recently ruled against his authority to impose tariff under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. However, let's see how the world going to I think this has going to settle down, and also how also Trump and his administration will accept this and move in that right direction. Like I said earlier, the HSBC, lift key target, and also up eyes on deliver earnings too. These are the 10. For the positive sentiment we are seeing, it's a test of what the session today will be. But I believe that with AI, like that tech company reporting to for that result, that will also be a good close. And let's see how the chip makers and also the world most valuable component has a outperform or outpace sales forecast for straight 13 quarters. These are the things that the market is looking at, and that's why we are seeing a renewed confidence in the tech company. But I believe that Europe is a place to also look at. We are seeing positive numbers. Significantly, companies that are reporting numbers are really increasing, and the numbers are good. And for me, investors, sorry, and investors are paying attention to that. Even though Italian, HPs and all defensive group was defensive group, all of them are seeing positive number posted. For me, it's a good one also for Euro market. A lot of companies there. I've mentioned Germany, economic growth in Q4. It's also a plus for that region as we speak. Crude oil price I mentioned that remain elevated as we speak now, as we are seeing almost crude oil price remaining up or closing high for straight 7 months high now as we speak, ahead of what? Ahead of the nuclear talk between US and Iraq amidst concerns of the possible conflict between the parties. These are the things. But as we speak now, crude oil price stood at what? $70.86 per barrel as right now. Yes, but let's see how it's going to work out. Finally, look at what is happening in US. That's where we come to Africa. US market, yes, also as to speak, is in green, slightly in green, fine. I've seen that trend start. It's also in green with them, with earnings from Nvidia and Salesforce, looming, largely. These are going to determine how far market to go from here. Both results also will strengthen, investors, expectation as artificial intelligence boom also and score companies across ranges of industry. But I believe that yes, as also gold and oil gain as what as a attempt to turn toward the key safe haven. Let's wait and see what the US and Iran officials on Thursday they work with the outcome. That's tomorrow what will be coming out with the discussion of all eyes on that discussion. Right now to speak now, this hour we're saying that the US market is almost marginally up as investors, they are up to work to slay of they are up for the slate of major corporate earnings that are likely also including that of artificial intelligence and others today. But right now, I can tell you that the S&P is also Dow Jones, sorry, Dow Jones is unchanged, very flat now. S&P is up by 0.1 and Nasdaq is also up by 0.1. And these are the major indices in that zone. But I believe that all eyes are looking at what will be the outcome of the US and the Iran meeting, and also what will be the next move for Trump after the Supreme Court over there has slammed that he has no right to increase on that. But let's wait and see what at the end what will be. But results can come from river will be also testament or what a function of where the market is. But I believe that the AI related companies are looking up across the globe, in Europe, in Asia, in US, and some African countries right now on as we speak because of expectation. But also, let's see that the stage force also numbers also that will come in. Let's see how the results also look at the end of the day. But I believe that the gold has edge of this morning. As we speak, like I said earlier, after no profit booking, we saw the previous day, we're seeing interest also increasing in the position in gold as well as defensive or safe haven, as well as called for the factory. Despite all this, I think investors are paying attention that oil price taking up, like we just said, still up for me is a good one for the market right now. If you look at what is happening in Africa, Africa is enjoying a real good positive market despite the ups and downs that we're seeing in the market there. But good that most of the markets in Africa are in green. For me, that's the top up for Africa market right away. Even in South Africa, we can speak now, in Ghana. Nigeria also been leading in Africa in terms of market cap. It's also a good one. We see the market, saw a pullback of profit taking yesterday. Today, we're seeing some element of profit taking in the market, but despite that, NGX is also in green, all by almost 0.23% right now as we speak. Let's look at the market data on NGX, how it is faring and how the market is doing here in Nigeria. I will tell you that yes, if you look at the market, index, the market data, market index is reading 494,936.7, from 0.72, representing 45, 452.13 basic point, which is equal to roughly 0.23%. So you can see the market trade this morning has been between 494,425.19, and the market has tested also today 495,331.05. You can see that the market is different to what. Don't forget that market has thought as high as what 497.327 this year. No, but that trend is still very there. As far as I still to see more earnings, especially that will be coming in a moment from now. This week before the world, I will go to see more numbers and early month of what March, because we expect the company to start releasing numbers to guide market, what is expected and where it is heading to. For me, it's a good news that the market is also going back to break out the 195,000 that has done this morning. We'll see also going to extend beyond that, and that also tells the market is coming back from the pullback we saw yesterday. As you can see the chart here, you can see it here. Market is trending up. We're seeing almost another pullback here before we announce another rebound. Let's wait and see if market can just take off this pullback. That's where we take a new trend is also continuing. A new trend of almost across the 90, across the 90, the 94. So that is what we need to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to that as traders and investors right now in our market. It's very, very key. Very, very key that we do that immediately. So that it will guide us to know exactly what to do as we speak. Yes, like I just said, was having in a negative market break now, but we carry users against starting gainers right now in the market, because we're also buying interest in high cap stocks and blue chip company. Market is a green, but let's see, because they just midday to see how the market will close. For me, there's no need for panicking. The market is still in order, especially when we come to look at our topic today. Our topic today is just something that investors should pay attention to. It's a new thing that is happening in the market, and you need to flow with that trend. NGX emerging defensive stocks and sectors to play amidst MPC rate cut. What is the importance of this? We are saying that this is the first meeting in MPC for the year. We are seeing a rate cut. What does it protect for the market? These are the things we'll be discussing in this topic. We'll make it snappy so that before we always are mindful of our time. But for me, this is the first MPC meeting. We are seeing a 50 basic point to 26.5% in terms of NPR. For me, it's a good news, and this shift is expected to make fixed income instruments less attractive over a time, but that could also move more capital toward to equity, or also trigger that circular flow of funds to equity. But also, if you also look at what is the better place to put the money. Yes, we are seeing that even within this environment of work, some stocks are defensive, some companies are defensive, some sectors are defensive. How will you pick them? And where is also the economic cycle right now is very, very important, because in essential goods and services, people are bound to work the needs regardless of the economic cycle where we are. That because and also that because what people want to take of themselves. And you must also factor in that where we're talking about emerging defensive stocks or sector on NGX, you must also look at how can companies that will benefit from this, and you and I as a trader or player in the market, how can we also position in that regard is very, very important. And that's why you must look at companies and look at also those companies and look at why is it a defensive play. That's what you ask yourself. Why is this company a defensive play? Ask yourself that question, because when you answer that is where you can get the real answer. Why is this company a defensive play? Once you're able to get that this why it's a defensive play, then it becomes easier for you to understand what we are saying. Because once you know the reason why it's a defensive play, it becomes wider and easier for you and I to know exactly what to do in that regard. And in this class now, we need to look at some sectors. We are seeing that in our market now, we are seeing emerging stocks and emerging sector. I will start from emerging stocks first before I look at emerging stock. Okay, let me start from emerging sectors first. Emerging sector in our economy today is we are seeing that the healthcare sector in Nigeria is coming up powerfully as a defensive sector. And also because why we want to play the essential healthcare product with what inelastic demand is one key thing that we should also consider in that regard. And for me, even we are seeing price fluctuation in that sector, we must also pay attention to what is happening there. It's key, and that is why I said today that the life of fixing, the life of me and Baker, even Nimet, there are still opportunity. Yes, we know that Mercure has been moving without use fundamental of the nature of the sector where it operates. It's not into drug manufacture, but into service, diagnostic and all those stuff. But the movement, but for those that are into drugs manufacture, and also look at why we're paying them because of what the nature of their service. And also banking also is another we know the bank is also a margin defensive sector. And also right now you can see that there are some stocks you can keep in that banking sector. Stocks like Stanbic IPTC have showed itself as a defensive stock. You must pay attention to it. Also, the outlook of that sector is very, very key. As we speak now, I will tell you that if you look at the bellwether stocks, the data healthcare, and I'll tell you that the profit growth has become strong over 100%. We saw in their Q3 and even in their recent audited account we have seen from that. It tells you, what is going on in that sector. That's why we must pay attention to it, and we see that there's a fast revenue growth we are seeing in that industry. And if government plans to have simple interest digits for them, and now with recent rate cut, I see that the expansion in that healthcare will also be good. Even when it comes to the banking industry, like I mentioned, banking also, even with the recent cut, I've seen when we see that funds become cheaper, people are likely to borrow more for expansion, and also the fear of not performing loan will also drop in that. For me, it's also a good one to look at. And also we're seeing that also there's a brand name in those sector. Even also the consumer goods, when we're seeing this pullback in terms of interest, and companies are having accessibility to see exchange rate, they are putting food for Nigeria here. Also, they are expanding those companies. There's also opportunity. And also don't forget that I've mentioned banking. I also mentioned agricultural sector. Agri sector is another sector that we should pay attention in terms of defensive. Some industrial also, some also, we're seeing also the ITC is also a sector to watch in terms of defensive. Even the consumer goods also good for that. I mentioned healthcare earlier. I mentioned bank also. But let's say I know that banks go for that, but I mentioned only one bank that I saw. I said that yes, but others can see that healthcare, we talk of ITC, can talk of industrial, can talk of agriculture, and also talk of oil. Oil sector is also what we're seeing, especially those companies that are into gas and food at the same time, not those that are purely marketing, because I see that the margin of Dangote is going to put a lot of petroleum marketing company on a strong pressure because they don't have the capacity, the price, no differences and all those stuff. No, Dangote can try to be supplying at a discount or even also at a credit to pay later. Would there's also that also force most of them. But I believe that these are the things that you also pay attention to at any given time because it's very, very important. In terms of defensive stock, also we're seeing a margin no stock. Let's go to stock now. As I mentioned IBTC, I mentioned stock like Okomu, stock like Presco, even MTN have defensive stock. Also, we're seeing also potential in Dangote cement at defensive stock. But I will tell you the newest bride in the town that's also entering the defensive stock is Japo Gold. And people will say why Japo Gold, if you look after their primary activities, they are consistent in their numbers releasing. And also, even when it's their number, it might not be too fantastic. But since then, we have seen improvement in number. But then going into a product that is safe even for global economy, not only Nigeria. You can see that currency people want to look at they want to buy good. And if they're able to do this right well, I will tell you that that is the next stock that investors that are taking medium and long should also look at because of the potential, because gold serves as safe haven for everywhere in the world. Currency cannot because people want to buy gold because it will go up. Even when we saw little profit taking estate, today have rebounded. And look at the price of gold, where they move from. And it's going to continue because that is the safe haven that people run to when they see a lot of uncertainties around the financial market, around the global economy. For me, that is where we are seeing another. For those that are thinking medium and long, it's an opportunity. Even though gold, you are buying that stock at high as 10 naira, it is not overpriced because unless the management of Japo to pay to do the needful. Why do the needful? If all the equipment to start extraction of gold and processing there, I will tell you the market is there for them. And that will also boost their top line and bottom line. That price will also feed up. It will go up. I mean, if you are thinking how to think, if you are thinking long now, then that is a place to go beat your checks now. That is the margin effective stock that should pay attention. And that of what of fixing in healthcare and that of what of Stanbic IPTC. For already we know that Okomu and the Presco are defensive. We are seeing also that Dangote is there. Also, all these high capital defensive stock, you should also know how to play them to look at the market direction. But most of them are can still pay dividend, they appreciate. You can see that we have their defensive is different from other. There are some that if you want to sell, there's no buyer, but you need to understand how you play all these high capital that are defensive now. That is the way to go in this market right away. But that's the way you can stay ahead of the market anytime, any day, because market does not go one direction. Yes, the strategy that, like I mentioned earlier, the pharmaceutical sector is key. You need to partner. Early this year, the valuation for that sector alone is about 664 billion. At the early stage of this year, for me, it's a good one, and also it's driven by what strong earnings and investors rotation into what these defensive growth names that were just mentioned that you must focus. The banking I've said earlier, what is there? Whether for me, whether the state court that bank has that ratio because these are the engine of any economy as activity is increasing, and also you watch out the dividend payout also is a plus for the bank because they are most consistent. And I tell you, after capitalization, you can see from this CBN MPC meeting yesterday that about amount of how many of them that 60% or 62% also have met their capitalization. For me, it's a good news for the banking industry. And I tell you, they are sitting on fun to do magic in this economy if they would like to raise sector that will drive expansion, that will support the GDP are put to show that yes, we can justify the price of stock we're seeing and our rate in Africa as leading the market. We need stronger economy, stronger companies that will support no higher price and higher period at the end of the day. But at this time, don't be carried away. There's a way to look at this world, this information. This pay attention to by reviewing companies' fundamental is key. Pay attention, look at look beyond price momentum, look at company fundamental because this is what the catalyst that will support that fight the return and that move price up. What is the profit margin? Also the debt level of all these companies and when you evaluate is very, very key. Monitor or keep your eyes on earnings season so that where this company report, you also know that especially as all eyes are still full year 2025 earnings, dividend announcement, all this will come and also it will be a major market driver that also provide clarity on which companies are truly not driven by what by growth as promised. These are the things. And also watch also the fixed income market, the alternative market, because now with this course, I think that Tracy B might not be attractive now, but I tell you, keep your eyes on it to see the yield in fixed in Tracy B and bond to help you to know that, because when there's rising, you know, when it is rising in terms of significantly in terms of government funding and all that, might see that institutional investor might start to believe in, equity space, but that's why you must not invest and go and sleep. You must watch to see where the market is moving. This is where we'll stop for today and also continue on Friday, hopefully by God case. Before we call it a day, we want to look at a few stocks on the chart, because it's good that we look at this chart before we finally close the class. If you look at this chart now, I told you that we are seeing stocks that are leading the market, but that is not only the issue. We are seeing that the market is still bearish. Looking at the market, looking at the market, internal. But in terms of index is up, but we are seeing more sellers in the market right now. And how will you balance this, as a trader or investor in this market? It's very, very key. Be able to balance it and say, okay, and don't follow just the market trend, which is the NGX index. Look at sector, look at company, the specific company, because every investment in equity is bordered on what for specific company. Whether you're looking at industry, companies in that industry matters a lot. That means you must pay attention to what the specific company you are looking at and what made that stock defensive and what made that stock a good company. And all these are the things that you must pay attention. But I see a rebound in poor food that put the market down today. I for me it's a plus. Was also seeing some stocks also moving up, crossing even a new go to a new price. For me, it's a good one that we must pay attention to those stocks that you see that have potential to rebound and take your time in those companies is very, very key. Let's quickly look at follow up our indicators here. But this indicator will come briefly because our time is fast spent. They already gave me a sign that my time is up. But let's also quickly look at something on this market. With the pullback we saw yesterday, and also with with the current momentum in the market, not to know exactly what the market. Let's look at our C line. I don't joke with it. Let's look at it and see. Continue to it. Let's see. Continue from there. Yes, you can see where the market is now. On the daily chart, you can see that it's still above the T line. Maybe it's still, bullish. You can see, but you can see it's also flowing now. Money flows are started looking down again as at the day chart. Or look at 1 hour chart. It's very, very key to pay attention to. 1 hour chart is also already very fast. Same money leaving the market. We saw that yesterday. Now today we're seeing that money flow on 1 hour chart is almost below 51.48. We're seeing now bearish on 1 hour chart. But we wanted to look at what the 4 hour chart saying. This is what I use after looking at all this time. 4 hour chart is still very, very strong, and also you can see it's still bullish, and also reading around the money flow around 90, above 90. For me, it's a good one for the stock. Let's for my quite call it today. I want to look at what is Human Bank. Let's look at Human Bank. Let's look at Human Bank now. Human Bank. And that's always the now because of that time. I already gave me a sign here. Yeah. Yes, you can see that Human Bank is rebounding. Look at your 4 hour chart. It's a good work. Try to rebound from after testing. You see all this one. There's the T line, but now it's above the T line. It's a good sign. Money flow is looking up, and I see that the stock will go places. What the blue and what the red one up, that is where the good one is also. But let's look at 1 hour chart. 1 hour chart, you can see for the past 2 hours or 3 hours, that stock is in green. The day chart also gives us a credit. You can see that the stock tries to resist decline. You can see it here. It went below the T line, come up. Now yesterday, see where it is this morning. It has gone as high as almost touching almost 28 or 27.50 before pulling back. Our money flow is looking up this morning. I see potential in that stock. There's also the pullback in NACO. For me, it's an opportunity to buy into value for those that are not there. But for those that are there, you watch your trend. You can see that the stock is still above it. Despite pulling back, sellers pulling back, pulling it back, taking profit. But for me, there's no cost for alarm. Money flow is below 60, below 70, I'm around 65 now. But let's look at that cost on that stock. But let's look at 1 hour chart also. You can see on 1 hour chart, it has already formed a hammer. And also you can see it went down, but it's coming up again. People are taking advantage of the pullback, and there's no more value in that stock. Let's pay attention to all that. It's very, very important. On this note, I'll say thank you.